Francesca Trop. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. And I've read your book, and I think it is incredible work. It's not just the written work that's amazing, because you've managed to summarize all these stories, all these trials that have marked the history of our time, and you've managed to summarize them in one page each. And beyond that, you've drawn, you've painted these beautiful paintings that illustrate each one of these stories, and you've tackled questions as fundamental as, who are these laws for? What are these laws about? Where do these laws, are they fair? Where do these laws come from? I mean, these are big, big questions to actually tackle and to deal with. So tell us, Francesca, what is the essence of what you wanted to show through this work?
When I decided to make a book and work with Les Éditions du Passage, my project was to give the public different vision of what justice is. I thought that because human beings, from the very beginning of history, humans have been yearning for a sense of justice, have been trying to find rules to coexist peacefully, yes, and in a fair way. At the beginning, religions took over that role of defining what was just, what was fair. Yes. But the main religions all stopped creating new stories over 1,000 years ago. And so the void was fulfilled by lawyers and the system of justice. And I thought to myself, these great trials that I'm going to paint are the ones that are taking over the role of religious mythology and try to explain in simple terms with very strong stories what is fair and what is not.
Amazing. So, but you started then with a more religious paintings, because you started with paintings, is that right?
Exactly. I used to practice law. I was a lawyer for 15 years. Yeah. And but for the past 10 years, I've been focusing on my career of a painter. And I'm a painter who likes to paint stories. I'm a storyteller. And I had this crazy idea, why not use all these stories I've studied when I was a lawyer and use them to tell, to share ideas about the world we live in today. And I first started with paintings that were close to me, with trials that are connected to my personal history, because my father is one of the last remaining Holocaust survivors today. So I wanted to paint the trial of Nuremberg and Dreyfus that address Nazis and anti-Semitism. Yeah. And I also wanted to raise the question of transgenders, because someone close to me went through the process of changing sex. And then I thought, well, I'm half Jewish because my father is Jewish. I'm half Christian because of my mother. And so I need to paint the trial of Jesus, who, well, we all know Jesus is at the heart of what Christianity is. And so after I had started to paint all these pictures for my personal pleasure, I thought, oh, I'm actually doing something bigger than I thought. I'm actually painting a history of human rights. And then I decided to focus on specific issues and try to find the best story that capture the very essence of what it is to be fair for children, for women, for slaves, for First Nations, for homosexual couples, and the right to die, with dignity. It was very broad.
It's a funny way of looking at history, because it's a different angle than we usually look at history.
Yes, in school we usually taught history through victories and wars. It's a very male view of conquering.
Yes.
And I thought, let's go with a different story, the story of how empathy has been more and more dominant in the way we see human relations. And starting from the beginning of democracy in Greece, where only Greek citizens, male Greek citizens had rights, and slowly slaves started getting rights, and then and women and strangers and children and different people. And that is a history that the courts of justice have been following. And the last trial that I mentioned is about animal rights, or even rights for bodies of water and mountains.
Wow, it's a very optimistic or positive point of view that you look at human nature. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yes, that was very important too. I wanted people to, after reading this book, stay with a positive vision of how useful justice can be.
That's wonderful. And how many trials did you cover?
I covered 50, but my editor, Les Éditions du Passage, told me that that's too many. People will drown. Let's stick with 24. And so...
Wow, 24 trials summarized in a book.
In 700 words each.
700 words each for an ex-lawyer. That's a big deal, because that's one of the things that I loved, Francesca, about this work. Is I loved how you take each story, each trial is summarized in like a page or a page and a half. We get an understanding of what goes on. You have the sketches that you used for your paintings.
Yes.
And then you have the beautiful painting which comes alive at the end of this book. I think it is absolutely phenomenal. Here we can actually see Jesus Christ with his cross.
Yeah, and in this painting I'm showing how this man brought together Greek elements of Greek philosophy, of Jewish history, and made it into a new religion.
Wow.
So all the paintings are very symbolic.
Symbolic. I love that. I love that. And if we want to see your paintings, where can we see? If we want to see them really clearly.
Yes, because many of these paintings have had to be cropped and chopped. And so the full body is on my website, www.francescatrop.com.
I think the best way to read the book is to actually read the book and to look at the painting in its full splendor in your website.
That would
so you
be
can
wonderful.
See it, because that's while you're reading it, whether you're an adult like me or a younger adult like others, like others. But I want to, what motivated you? So I understand that you went from the personal quest of what was meaningful to you, but what was the main, what would you like the youth to understand from this book?
I would love it if a young person came out of this reading telling themselves, I can make a difference in the world. Normal human beings are the ones that, or the stars of each trial. And by bringing before courts of justice their own personal history, they went to fight for justice for themselves, but they ended up fighting for a cause much bigger than themselves. And normal individuals had that power to change the way we look at what justice is.
That's amazing. It's very much a positive and hopeful message, and your paintings bring it to life. Thank you, Francesca Trop. And really, I encourage all of you to go to Francesca's website to read the book and enjoy the splendor of her paintings as you see them. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, Helen.